One thing that we found that has been very, very successful with us is New York in general is no longer the late night music place it once was. We do shows at 8:30 and 11, and normally by 12:30, an artist, you give him an hour and a half to play, and we're very thankful. We like that set. It's a fair amount of time to show your artistry to your guests. And then there's people who just leave. It's not like it was years ago where Charlie Parker and them, they played to 4 or 5 in the morning. I mean, you couldn't get Monk off the stage. These are things that was part of a culture back in the 50s and the 60s. But what we did find is that there's an audience that likes to go from work to hear music and dinner. So what we found is that our 5 o'clock programming, we needed to fill hours. Jazz clubs, notoriously, you have a couple of sets, there's nothing going on during the day, they come in at 8 o'clock, they're done, so you have 4 or 5 hours, and in New York City, you're paying rent for 24 hours, try to make it work. And we started to develop programs early. So what I did is I started programs for emerging artists, again, not only from the Broadway scene at 7 o'clock on Mondays. What I started was a jazz party for vocalists on Sundays at 6 o'clock. So I'd have a 6 o'clock, a 9 o'clock, and 11 o'clock on Sundays. So my jazz party was, it's been going on for 9 years now, is we would get young, emerging vocalists to come in with our trio. We'd put a trio or a quartet together, depending on what they want, and have them come in and give us a set. And I cannot tell you that I can book that for the next 3 years with all the singers that contact us. And what I started doing, because it became a lot of work for me, is I would get hosts to host it and have them interview or know artists to come in and guest spot with them. So for example, 3 years ago, Cyril LeMay hosted it for 2 years. Jane Monheit hosted it the last year, and now a young singer, Natalie Douglas, is hosting it for this year. And it's wonderful because not only do they get to host and be part of this audience that comes in, they also get to find new artists, cultivate, help them. Years ago, this was important. All the great jazz artists, people paid apprenticeship to those. Charlie was playing on stage and brought Dizzy in and Miles and these artists, not because they thought, he wasn't afraid how great they were. It was that he wanted people to hear them. So that jazz party on Sunday is an amazing program for us. On Wednesdays, George Avakian, who's a great historian, as we all know, and producer, worked with Louis Armstrong, came to me 15 years ago and said, we need to do a Louis Armstrong night at 5 o'clock. Here. And I go, well, the only slot I have open that I can do for you is Wednesdays at 5. It's been going for 15 years. Louis Armstrong music. Tuesday nights we reserve for sound checks for our headliners because they go from Tuesday through Saturday. So we don't do anything on Tuesday. Thursdays I have CD releases for artists that come in. Whether or not they're a known artist, it could be Dave Holland or it could be Meredith Champion. Whoever is going to do, we contact them, we advertise them, we put their name out in our programming, we put it out in all our print ads, it goes on our website, the record companies get invited, artists invite, if we have to, we help agents and managers, and we give them that opportunity to get it out there. A lot of them are already established, but other CD artists, other artists that have CDs need help, and we're there to help them get to the next level, which is important. People can get discouraged in this industry. It's very difficult. Then, about 18 years ago, Lou Anderson, who most people don't know was Clarabelle on Howdy Doody, was a saxophone player, had an all-American band, and he came to me and approached me on Fridays after dinner. and we went ahead, put him in. Since then, he's passed away. Tommy Igoe, a fabulous drummer, the son of Sonny Igoe, said he would take it over and run with it. And I have to tell you, it's been one of the most successful programs we do. It's a Friday at 5 o'clock, goes from 5 to 7. But what's exciting about it, it's a driving band. It reminds me of the Woody Herman band, and it attracts many, many high schools and college students, because all the artists on stage are young. Here they are. Tommy at the drums. It's driving music. It really fills their desire, and it fuels them. And we get high schools booking years up to come in with 60, 70, 80 students. Wonderful. And they've been doing this for 18 years. So it's wonderful. Then every Saturday, we have a program prior to our headlining. We've used the amazing Barbara Carroll, who just before I left for this cruise turned 90 years old. So she was there every Saturday at 6 o'clock. And then Arturo O'Farrell, Chico O'Farrell with the Afro-Latin Jazz Orchestra came to us 19 years ago to do a Sunday night, and I've never looked back. He's done every Sunday. Since he passed, his son took over, Arturo. So the orchestra's been there for 19 years. And what's wonderful is people know that there's certain residences that are going to play, and the good thing is they're resident bands, and they've played for years because they're successful. People come and hear them, and we're very fortunate to be able to offer early shows and Arturo at night, and people coming from all over the world know that Wednesdays, Saturdays, Sundays, whatever it is, they know what they're going to lock in. Because obviously our calendar Tuesday through Saturday changes every week. So. Well, over the years, the memorable performances for me were my friendship that I developed with Oscar Peterson. We became very, very close. I miss him. Actually, watching a film that they had on TV the other day of Berlin in 1981. I remember being with Oscar, seeing some of the suite he wrote for a Berlin orchestra, sitting with him at his home and turning back to ask him a question and seeing tears run down his eyes. But I have to say that I miss Oscar. I miss his playing for us. I lost a dear friend, as we all did. The memorable performances for me, I think of Tony Williams, I think of Milt Jackson, and I think of Kurt Elling, and I think of John Pizzarelli, and but of all, to me, I miss Oscar the most. And this is probably something that I'll take to my grave, and I'm just at a point where I was so thrilled to have known him and been his friend. Okay, let's do it. Okay, you ready? Gianni Valenti.